I've been in sports my entire life, but the path that I've taken to get here really makes no sense until you've heard the entire story. Now, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't planned, and honestly, most people only understand about 10% of what I do. So, let me show you how I got here. Well, I started off playing baseball as early as I could possibly remember. Just doing sports, baseball, a little bit of soccer. I think I started right when I started walking, but ultimately, my parents made me choose baseball or soccer, chose baseball, and just started playing. So, played youth leagues, started travel ball where I was playing every weekend, multiple practices every week, and so I started to learn sports at a very early age. About like 7 or 8 years old is when I really started to get into it. So that was my early introduction to sports. I loved it. I loved playing baseball, so I just stuck with it. Got to high school, played all 4 years, and once you get to high school, you kind of learn that you need to start taking care of your own fields. Every now and then I would get like a side job going and taking care of other baseball fields in the community, getting paid a little bit and making a little bit of money. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I get to be around baseball, make a little bit of money. Didn't really know what I was going to do. Worked some other odd jobs, restaurant catering, and some other things throughout high school every now and then. But never really thought too much about anything other than playing baseball. Now, once I got to college, I spent my entire freshman year playing baseball still, but realizing that you need money. You need money once you get to college, and I didn't have any, really. I didn't have money, like most people don't have money when they're a freshman in college, but I was playing college baseball, so I really didn't have much time to go get a job. I had to figure things out, but during my freshman year, I was like, wow, this really sucks. This is getting real tough. Switching schools from my freshman to sophomore year. I went from a university my freshman year to a junior college my sophomore year to keep playing baseball. And at the end of my freshman year, while I was looking for a job, still playing baseball, which has a very busy schedule, one of my friends that went to a different school sent me a flyer that he got while he was in school that had a job opening over at the LA Coliseum as a part-time groundskeeper. Now, I was like, wow, this seems cool. I'm looking for a job. Hopefully this can fit my schedule. So end of freshman year, I send an email out. They say, yeah, come on down to the Coliseum. Come check it out and see if you like it. I was like, oh, this is cool. All right. So I went on down. They showed me around the field and said, when do you want to start? Well, I was like, I'm leaving for the summer, actually. In college, when you're playing baseball, at least, you go play summer leagues after your school season, and it could be anywhere in the country. I got sent to North Carolina for mine, and I'm in California. That wasn't really going to work for a job, so I had to tell them right away, like, well, I'm going to be gone the entire summer. They thankfully said, no problem. Just once you're back, come start working. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. And I was like, well, also, I do play college baseball, so I have to balance that schedule. They said, fine. I was like, wow, this is a dream come true. I never expected any of this. And so I went away for the summer, came back, and after that, I started to learn that USC football played there, which I knew, but the Rams were going there that same year. The Rams were moving from St. Louis back to LA the same exact time that I was starting at the LA Coliseum. So the very first couple weeks of me coming back and starting to do a little bit of work before school started, I had a little bit of like time to where I could really dive into it. It was crazy work. We did a ton of work that I've still to this day haven't even done that much of. And I'll get into that in a different video, but school started. Then it came time to like, oh my God, I have to balance a school schedule, a baseball schedule, and a work schedule. And at that same time, I also got an opportunity to start coaching baseball as well for youth players in like a youth pony league and run baseball camps and all that type of stuff. So I started doing both the LA Coliseum as my introduction to groundskeeping, really, August of 2016. And then in October, so shortly after, is when I started coaching baseball. I was able to balance both of those things and really just be able to learn so many more things about sports. But when I first got home from my first day over at the LA Coliseum, I remember I was still living with my parents. I just moved back in with my parents after being gone for a year and telling them like, oh my God, I can't do this forever. This sucks. This sucks. So I get there, and after that, I get to go to the very first game back at the LA Coliseum where the LA Rams were playing the Dallas Cowboys. Football hasn't been, or NFL football hasn't been in Rams, Chargers, Ravens were all there before that. The Rams finally came back, so there was something to celebrate. The stadium was packed. It was a great, like, just insane atmosphere. I stood right next to Randy Moss within a couple hours of me really being there. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Started seeing commercials and really started to learn what it's like to work at a stadium. So from there, I was doing all that. I was in college for 6 years. Got my associates, got my bachelor's degree, got my master's degree, played baseball throughout all 6 years. Due to a red shirt, due to a COVID year, I was able to make sure everything happened. And I worked as a groundskeeper throughout and a baseball coach throughout those entire 6 years. And also my last season, my very last year of college baseball, wasn't expecting to be playing college baseball anymore, but COVID happened and we got an extra year. So from there, I only had one class left to finish my master's degree. I was able to push that all the way back to the end of my last semester, really, and just have one class and play baseball throughout the entire year. Well, I was like, I got to do something else to fill my schedule. Like, I can only get so many hours groundskeeping over at the Coliseum. I got to do something else. I got an opportunity with my college athletic conference in the office, really, the college athletic conference. It's the Golden State Athletic Conference, the GSAC is what we called it. So I got to work my title was diversity intern. And the diversity part really didn't have much to do with it, just because I'm brown, I guess. But that's how part of how I got it. But I was very active in school and baseball, so I got recommended for the position. I got it, and it was a lot of like admin stuff, managing 10 different schools with a bunch of different sports in a college athletic conference. And I had 2 people that were above me, and it was me. So I did a lot of writing, a lot of press releases, articles, did a lot of groups and stuff, organizing different types of people, being a liaison, being just all this stuff while I was still playing baseball, and then also doing my other work on the side. So I had a lot going on, but I'm really glad that I did, because I got to learn an insane amount from being in different aspects of sports. Now, at this point, I'm in my 6th year of college. I think I'm in my 5th year of groundskeeping. I'm about to get my master's degree. My master's is in business, and so it's an MBA with a concentration in marketing. Now, this doesn't sound like I'm going to go work in sports, but honestly, throughout college, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I was a groundskeeper. I was a field manager over at the Coliseum all throughout that time, and a baseball coach. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to keep doing that. I didn't have that in mind, that's what I was going to be doing. It was always a backup plan for me. So once I finished school, what I started doing, I didn't go play professional baseball or anything. I played all my college baseball, and then that was it. I started applying for jobs, still doing the same stuff, still working at the Coliseum, still coaching baseball, and really just started to dig into applying for different jobs. Now I was applying for things all throughout different aspects of sports. Like crazy amount, like just this insane range of different things that I was applying for. Mostly in like administration with sports information, but more like in a college athletic conference type of setting, which is really what I was going at since I just got done doing that for an entire year. So that was something that I started to get a little bit of traction in, but it took a lot longer than I really expected. To be honest, I was like, I'm finishing with my master's. I've been working in a college athletic conference already. I'm an athlete. I got this easy. It wasn't easy. It was not easy. I finished, I think that was 2021. Yeah, 2021 is when I finished with my master's degree. And it wasn't easy to get a job, really. I ended up getting a job offer. I went through the interview process, got the job up in Sacramento for, I think, the National Junior College Association, their conference office or whatever it was. Didn't take it. ended up staying, and I started working part-time at SoFi Stadium. Well, while I was at SoFi Stadium, I got to see even more stuff. So I was doing SoFi, I was doing the Coliseum, I was doing USC baseball, coaching baseball, and I got another coaching opportunity for baseball. And so things were looking good, not making a ton of money, really, especially as a part-timer. Now, I'm working a lot of hours. Baseball coaching absolutely helped, but I knew I didn't want to be a baseball coach. I didn't really think I wanted to be a groundskeeper. So I was doing two things for a long time that I wasn't sure I really wanted to keep doing. I knew I could have groundskeeping in the back of my pocket for like just going and hanging out at the stadiums, going and working games and all that type of stuff. I mean, I get to be on the field during games, during NFL games, during college football games. What's better than that? Not a whole lot. But I don't know. There's something about it that I wasn't really too stoked about. And I just kept going on. So j.sprays wasn't really a thing at this point. Like I didn't have a business outside of coaching baseball. And I knew I always wanted to kind of like be in business in a way. Like I remember being at the Coliseum one day, like within one of my first couple of years, I was just looking up at the stadium seats. I don't really have much family that's been in business or that's like super successful in a certain field. I have some, but nobody's like a huge business person. I don't know why. I've just always kind of wanted to be in it. But like, I remember sitting on the field, just looking up at the stadium seats, like, wow, somebody invented the stadium seat. Somebody invented the little cup holder on there. And whatever, just people decided like this needs a certain thing. I'm going to make it. And they made a bunch of money from it. And I mean, those aren't probably the best examples, but my mind started going like, oh, wow, like there's more than just working a job. But at the same time, I needed a job. I didn't have money to start investing in a business. I didn't know what business I wanted to try to start. So I was just doing my own thing. And then coaching baseball ended up being a little bit of a business, running private lessons, running my own camps and clinics, like all that starting to grow. So I was like, oh my God, I got to start a corporation. I'm going to start running my own baseball tournaments. I started getting everything ready to go do that. Boom. You need $5,000 to rent out the field for a weekend. I didn't have that. And so I was like, well, this is a lot harder than I thought. A lot harder than I really expected things to be. And I'm glad that I kind of got like that smack in the face from reality, because I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. In 2021, I was probably like 23 at the time, about to be 24. And I was working at SoFi. I had been doing this type of work for years, just at the Coliseum at SoFi. And so I started taking like Snapchats, sending my friends about like, oh, we're painting for the Rams versus the 49ers tomorrow. And then I had 3 people. After the third time of somebody saying, hey, you need to post this to TikTok, I was like, all right, whatever. But I mean, the first couple times somebody told me that, I was like, I don't post. I hardly post on my personal account. I don't really want to post TikToks. And then what happens if I keep doing that? I'm going to start having to do dances. Like that was the big thing at that time, was TikTok dances. It was right after COVID. TikTok was massive and still is, but I was just like, I don't really want to do this. So third person tells me to do it. I was like, all right, fine. I'll post something to TikTok. I think the Rams were about to play the Cardinals in the wild card game. So NFL playoffs were about to start. I took a bunch of clips of videos of us painting and put it together, posted it as I was leaving the stadium. And then the next day I wake up and I had like a few thousand views, I think is what it was. And I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of crazy. I didn't expect that. Like, I've never had social media traction. I've never really like tried to get views. I never done any of that stuff. I didn't care. That was the first time where I was like, wow, this kind of is something. All right. So I kept doing it. I just kept posting. No idea what I was doing. I was just doing something. Still not thinking at the time that like, oh, I'm going to be a groundskeeper, that j.sprays is going to be a forever thing. But I knew I was doing something. So I was still doing the same thing, about 23, 24 years old, something around that. Working a part-time job at SoFi, working a part-time job at USC, coaching baseball, and not really knowing what I'm trying to do. I have a master's degree. I should be able to get a job, right? I was still applying for jobs at that time. Didn't really get anything that I wanted. And then I started to get a couple like bigger jobs that I was really like trying to get in different like athletic departments for colleges. And I got through like the second interview, I think, in two separate job opportunities. And one day, one of my old bosses from USC, he was with the Chargers. I was working at SoFi, and I found out that a couple people were going to go over to the Chargers to help them paint for their OTAs. I was like, hey, I know this guy. I texted him like a year before asking if he had any administrative jobs over at the Chargers that he knew about. He didn't. So I texted him. I was like, hey, I heard you guys need help. I can come out. I lived in Fullerton at the time. It was in Costa Mesa. So still Orange County, not too far. It was better than driving up to LA every single day like I already was doing for years. And so I was like, all right, let's go try that out. Went over to the Chargers facility. I was like, wow, this is cool. I've never been in an NFL facility. Been in NFL stadiums, but never a facility. It's different. This is where they practice, and this is where their headquarters is. Coaches, players, staff, everything is there. I'm like, wow, this is fun. So I did one day of a paint job, and then I get a call or a text, or I think I went out and had drinks afterwards with my boss and the other guy that worked there, and they said, do you want to work here? I was like, yeah, this is cool. They're like full-time, like you get a full-time job. You want to come work for the LA Chargers. I was like, are you serious? They said, yeah. And from there, they said, let me get things in order. I'll call you and then tell you what the deal is. I got a call from them. Extremely underwhelming. I was excited. I had my hopes up to go start working for the Chargers, and the salary that they offered me was just like way too low. I think it was either minimum wage or I had to be at least minimum wage, but it was low, like below $40,000 at the time, and California is not going to do the thing. And so I was like, wow, this isn't it. I can't do it. I want to, but I can't. I said, anything that you guys need help with, I'll come out and help you guys, but I can't do it for that type of money. They said, all right, no, that's fine. I understand. And hope you're fine. A little bit later, I think a couple days later, I got another phone call that said, hey, we talked to the executive that helps make these decisions, and we're going to offer you a different type of role for a little bit more money. You can come try it out for a year. You don't have to commit to anything. It's just 1 year, and then that's it. And then we can talk about the next steps moving forward. I was like, all right, sure. Why not? Let's go do this. And so I started out as a field manager for the LA Chargers right before training camp, I think. And little did I know, training camp was going to be the busiest time of my life. That was 4 years ago. I started working for the Chargers, and after that first year, I got offered a raise and a full-time role to really pretty much be where I'm at now. So I was at SoFi Stadium in 2021. I got that traction a little bit from j.sprays posting on TikTok, and stuff started to go through. And so at this time, I was like, look, I am doing this stuff too. So that was in the back of my mind, like social media. I just didn't know where I was going with it, but I was starting to grow it more and more. I even started to get more opportunities through social media and stuff. And so I was like, oh, this is cool. So I told them hey, I'm also doing this. They said, that's fine. That's fine. That has nothing to do with anything. You're good. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I was doing that for that whole year, started to grow the social media, got opportunities, had my first videos with 1 million views before that. I had a video that shot over 10 million, which was crazy. And I didn't even know what to do with it. Still didn't. And then from there, I just kept working with the Chargers, learning. I learned so much more about groundskeeping and this industry and professional sports and the different aspects of sports just by sticking with it. Now, at this point, I'm in my 4th year with the LA Chargers as a full-time employee. And I'm used to it now. It's awesome still. I'm at the practice facility. I still have j.sprays, and it's pretty much almost like the 4-year anniversary, I think, with that. Maybe 5. I don't I don't know exactly right now. But j.sprays is something that I got to talk about just a little separate. It's hard to like put both of those things in like a line together while I'm talking about one or the other, because honestly, there's a lot going on at the same time. So I'll try to give you like the best idea of what it was right now. SoFi Stadium, beginning of 2022. I started posting TikToks. Playoffs happen. Rams make it to the Super Bowl. We host it. I'm at the Super Bowl. Everything. I'm going crazy. Everything's awesome on social media. I'm still coaching baseball at the time. I'm also working at UC Riverside as a sports information director. So another part that was more adjacent to my athletic department job. And so have a few different roles in sports. I'm a coach. I'm a groundskeeper. I have social media. I'm in sports information, which I didn't even know I was ever going to be in either. So 4 different parts of sports at the same time, right after I just got done playing college baseball. So a lot going on. Eventually, the sports information stuff fizzles out. That fizzles out that same year. I keep going with baseball coaching. I actually stopped coaching baseball about a year ago, but I kept doing that. Doing my own private lessons is what I have eventually moved into. So I was coaching teams and lessons and camps. Eventually just started moving into private lessons. I was doing SoFi Stadium part-time, and I was still with the Chargers. I was able to do both, and I'm doing j.sprays and just kind of figuring all those things out at the same time. So all that stuff working together is starting to not make sense, but keep going. The engine's going. Still didn't know what I wanted to do. I honestly, at that time, I didn't know where I was going to go, and still didn't think I was going to be a full-time field manager as long as I have been a groundskeeper. And one more aspect that there was 5 things going on at a time. I didn't realize I had a digital marketing agency. So I started a digital marketing agency with one of my friends who also played baseball with me in college and also got his master's. So we started this. We were doing jiu-jitsu together, and which is something I started to do pretty much right after I stopped playing college baseball. And they kind of knew that I had j.sprays going on. So they're like, oh, you know how to do social media. And my friend Dom, he is very social, and he's talking to the guy that we're doing, or the jiu-jitsu professor, and he's mentioning that, like, oh, we need somebody to do it for the gym. The person that was doing it stopped and all this type of stuff. He's like, I'll do it. And then he's like, j.sprays will do it, Jordan. I was like, for sure, let's do it. Let's just do the social media for this jiu-jitsu gym. And pretty much we just started doing that. After that, we got an actual client. So we were doing a digital marketing for our jiu-jitsu gym so we could get free jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is like $150 a month. So we were getting free jiu-jitsu just because we were doing their social media, started TikTok and Instagram. And then after that, we landed a baseball bat company, baseball and softball, Anderson Bats. So that was our first client. So I was like, oh, this is easy. This is what I want to do. I'm a business owner. I'm going to start. My mind was running. That's where I wanted to focus. But I was working for the Chargers, and I had this prior commitment work at least this year. Still helping at SoFi, still coaching baseball. Like I said, sports information stuff started to fizzle out. Fine. After a few months, I think, of having a client or two, the digital marketing agency that I had with my friend Dom started to fizzle out, and we both made our own. We still stayed like really good friends. There's no bad blood or anything. We just decided to do different stuff. And so I was like, oh, I still want a marketing agency. So I incorporated a marketing company, and I think 1.5 years or 2 years, I put time and effort into it, but I just couldn't put enough. I didn't know enough. I thought it was easier than it actually was, because the first 2 clients that I got with him came right away without trying that much, really. And I tried for 1.5 years, 2 years of building a website, creating social media, and doing all this different type of outreach, trying to find my clients, doing all this type of studying, having a business coach and all this type of stuff, and none of it worked out. I failed that business. I didn't make $1 from a business I put almost 2 years of time into. A lot of time. I would go to work. I would go coach baseball right after work. I'd come home and work on the marketing agency. And I had some serious life stuff going on at the same time. But I was committed. I was committed to making it work. It didn't work. And it is what it is, because it's for the best, because little did I know I had this other business already going that I was just kind of neglecting. I was posting videos and stuff, but I didn't know where I was going with it. I was just posting painting videos, putting some songs over it, and that's it. I didn't have an objective, no goal or anything. Eventually, I had to come to terms with the fact that the digital marketing agency wasn't going to work out because I didn't have enough time to put into it. And that was, I think, after my second year of working for the Chargers. But at the same time, I was also starting to get paint jobs through j.sprays just from posting painting videos. So my very first job I ever had, Coors Light reached out to me because they wanted me to make a video of some promotion that they were going to do. So I painted the logo of their promotion with their logo on it on a piece of turf and then posted it. And boom, there was my first brand deal in a way. So did that. That was cool. Still didn't think much of it. I undercharged the hell out of that. That's for sure. But I was still trying to get this digital marketing business going for some reason, and just kept working for the Chargers, doing all that. After that, I started to get other calls. I got a call from Nike. Nike said, hey, we need you. Well, it was a production agency through Nike, but they're like, hey, we found you on social media. We need somebody to make a football and a soccer field for us for a commercial that NFL and I think MLS players were going to be there to go shoot on. They were going to film a commercial for Nike. I got a Nike job. This is something that I would be stoked about now if I got. That was the first real job that I ever got. I wasn't trying to get anything like that. I was trying to get marketing clients. I got a real job for Nike. I didn't know what I was doing. I was stressing on what to charge, on what equipment I needed. I didn't have my own equipment and stuff. I made everything work. I got the right people to help. It was a crazy day. I've already made a video about that. I landed my first client. We have a business. We had a business that I wasn't even trying to build, but I was putting in the work to start getting clients, and it worked out that way. So I got that Nike job. I still was working as a field manager for the Chargers, still am, and stuff started to keep coming in from there. I got another job and then another job, and now I've got some jobs from some big name clients, Nike, Oakley, even the Rams. And so I kind of want to explain a little bit, and I'll really get into more detail in a different video of the separation between everything and how it all works, because I get a lot of questions throughout social media. I've got so many questions throughout the years on social media that I've only answered to one person at a time, or I didn't feel like it got out there so much. And there's a lot of stuff that I really want to clear just to show everybody how it really works. And yeah, but not a whole lot of time in this video. Well, I guess we have all the time in the world, but I'll show you that in a different video. The purpose for me making this video was to kind of show everybody how I got to where I'm at. Is not a unique, or I guess it is a unique story, because most people that become field managers, they either wanted to do it or they landed in it and just stuck with it, which kind of happened to me. But I don't know. I still feel like there's a lot more, and there's a lot more that I want to keep sharing with you guys. So any questions that you guys do have, feel free to just comment. Just comment the questions, because I'm going to start taking your guys' questions and doing more of this type of video where I'm answering your questions, some Q&A stuff, some explanations on what exactly this type of work is that I do, the differences between different, or just, I guess, all the nuances of professional sports, college sports, all the different aspects of sports. I've been in, I think, at this point, 5 or 6 different parts of sports in different ways. So I want to share my knowledge because it's something that I don't think people really understand, and I want to get it out there. So thank you guys for watching if you stayed with me this long. I don't think I've ever talked for this long straight in a podcast setting or a video setting or anything like this. So it was a lot. And I'm glad I finally got it out there. This is something that I've wanted to get out for a while. I don't know. I was focusing on other stuff. So I think I'm finally starting to settle down. So anybody who's been supporting me, been watching my stuff, I appreciate you very much. Anybody who's here for the first time or just started coming around, thank you. And tell your friends, tell anybody else who wants to work in sports, needs more information, tell somebody who's a curious mind. Anybody. I don't know. I'm starting to ramble on right now, but just comment, tell your friends, and you know what? I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much. I'm gonna start making this as much as possible. All right. So thank you guys for supporting.